You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Well, guys, I'm sure you've seen over the last several days there's been a lot of chatter about President Trump maybe having an interest in buying Greenland. He is probably one of the most amazing people I have ever had the privilege to to know about in the history of the world. He posted this meme earlier, about 6 hours ago, I think. No, I'm sorry, this is yesterday. And he says, "I promise not to do this to Greenland." And he puts a Trump Tower in the middle of a beach on Greenland. Absolutely hilarious. I think that maybe this is exactly what the left is afraid he's going to do. But if he was to purchase Greenland for the United States, it would be for the strategic advantage of having this land up in the Arctic. Now, we've already got lots going on in Greenland. I know that we've used it as a base strategically during times of conflict in the past. If we owned Greenland and this was territory of the United States, just imagine what we could do. You know, there's lots of resources there. I believe there is oil and gas, there's diamonds, lots of stuff that we could do with Greenland, and think about how we could help the people of Greenland. Just something to think about. But I gotta just say, I love President Trump. I love his sense of humor. This meme is just incredible. So thank you, Mr. President. You guys, we've got several stories coming up. We've got an update on the Seth Rich investigation, some news about Oleg Deripaska, as well as some news on April Ryan's security guard. He roughed up a fellow journalist at an event because April Ryan didn't want her face on camera for whatever reason. If I was April Ryan, I wouldn't want my face on camera either. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. You do, so take a look at this. This amazing coin is a symbol of belonging, your link to like-minded collectors, all belonging to a group who are trying to understand why the cabal lives and what they can do about it. Where we go one, we go all is very apt, and it's one of the many sayings and symbols in the design, all instantly recognizable to anyone who knows and sees this coin up close. It's packed with symbolism, and it has a secret to tell. You can carry this around in your pocket or wallet, and like a secret token, you can show it by taking it out. By using the augmented reality technology built into the accompanying brochure, you can download an app called Zapper and watch a privileged information video just for followers of Q. You'll feel a part of the Great Awakening like never before and own something very rare and very special. Now, you can go to greatawakeningcoin.com and use the code REDPILL78 to get $5 off a package of 2 coins. Find out more about the Q coin and reveal its mysteries at greatawakeningcoin.com, and don't forget, use the code REDPILL78. The choice to know will be yours. All right, as promised, here is that update on the patriotic American who lost his life leaking information to the press about the DNC, Seth Rich. The FBI is claiming that they didn't investigate this murder, and the NSA claims that they can't disclose files related to it due to a matter of national security. Now, if this was just the murder of a man walking home from the bar early in the morning, why would the NSA have any type of national security interest in this story? Now, we first reported back in late July that Texas businessman Ed Butowski filed a lawsuit where he outed reporter Ellen Ratner as his source for information on Seth Rich. The DNC operative was murdered in the late summer of 2016 in Washington, D.C. His murder was never solved. According to the lawsuit, Seth Rich provided WL, that journalistic organization, the DNC emails before the 2016 election, and it was not Russia. This totally destroys the FBI and Robert Mueller's claims that Russians hacked the DNC to obtain these emails. Now, Butowski claims in his lawsuit, Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange told her that Seth Rich and his brother Aaron were responsible for releasing the DNC emails for WL. Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange wanted the information relayed to Seth's parents as it might explain the motive for Seth's murder. Yeah, you think? Now, on November 9th of 2016, Ellen Ratner admitted publicly that she met with Julian for 3 hours the Saturday before the 2016 election. And according to Ratner, Julian told her that the leaks were not from the Russians, that they were from an internal source from the Hillary campaign. Of course, we've seen this little clip here before. This is Ellen actually saying this on stage. Pretty stunning. Now, we later reported that Butowski and his attorney Ty Clevenger requested and obtained documents from the FBI related to their case, which were able to be analyzed. According to the duo, they obtained the transcript from former FBI Chief of Staff James Rybicki, where he states that the Obama White House was the entity that was pushing the Russia conspiracy as early as October of 2016. And we can see that right here in his testimony that was released by the House. Rybicki was corrupt cop James Comey's chief of staff. You can see James Rybicki right here. Now, Clevenger stated in a post online, now newly released documents from the FBI suggest that the Obama White House pushed intelligence agencies to publicly blame the Russians for email leaks from the Democratic National Committee to WL. Now, this afternoon, I received an updated and heavily redacted transcript of an interview of James Rybicki, former chief of staff to former FBI Director James Comey. That includes this excerpt. So we understand that at some point in October of 2016, there was, I guess, a desire by the White House to make some kind of statement about Russia, and then the next page is omitted. The comment is made by an unidentified prosecutor from the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, or OSC, not to be confused with the Office of former Special Counsel Robert Mueller. The OSC is a permanent office that investigates Hatch Act violations, and Mr. Comey was under investigation for trying to influence the 2016 presidential election. Trump friend Roger Stone is facing charges from the Mueller gang that are based on this key question: who provided the DNC and Podesta emails to WL? The corrupt FBI and Mueller team claim the emails were hacked, but neither entity inspected the DNC server, which was supposedly hacked. Now, they have provided no proof of this, but they stand behind that assertion. The DNC instead hired a firm, which was CrowdStrike, with connections to Mueller and former Obama Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, who provided a redacted report to the FBI and Mueller stating the emails were hacked by Russia. Former NSA whistleblower Bill Binney claims to have the evidence that the DNC emails were not hacked, but were most likely copied onto a flash drive or something similar. Now, Adam Carter, the forensicator, also did a similar analysis and came to the same conclusions. Now, here was an interview that we've seen here on the program before, Bill Binney stating that fact. Now, here's the new information. When Ty Clevenger requested documents from the FBI related to any investigation into the death of Seth Rich, they replied that they never investigated Seth Rich and they don't even have any records on him. Right here, this is from that release. The RIDS had previously contacted the FBI Washington, D.C. field office on June 21, 2017, in conjunction with another requester's FOIA request for records concerning Seth Conrad Rich's murder. The field office advised that it did not open an investigation into Seth Conrad Rich's murder, and the District of Columbia Metropolitan Police had declined to offer to assist in their investigation. Very strange. But when documents were requested from the NSA, they replied that they won't release their records regarding Seth Rich because it's a matter of national security. Two very different answers. With respect to the fourth category of records requested in plaintiff's letter, agency correspondence with Congress regarding Seth Rich or any of 11 other specifically named individuals or entities, the NSA responded by letter dated October 4th, 2018, that the NSA stated it has identified 15 responsive documents and was withholding all of them, 32 pages, in their entirety pursuant to FOIA exemptions. Now, this section does not apply to matters that are specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy and are in fact properly classified pursuant to such executive order. So the FBI never investigated Seth Rich and the murder, even though the NSA said that the case was a matter of national security. This does not make any sense. If the case was not concerning enough to the federal government for the FBI to investigate, then how could the murder of Seth Rich be a matter of national security? And if it is a matter of national security, what exactly does the murder of a DNC staffer have to do with the national security of the United States? Unless perhaps there were people in the former administration who had direct knowledge about the causes and reasons for the murder of said DNC staffer. Seth Rich, his murder, his poor family who have had to put up with this for all these years now, this is probably one of the darkest stains on the American consciousness. The very fact that the NSA knows and has stated that this is a matter of national security shows you that there are people within the government, perhaps still within the government, who understand and realize the reasons for the murder of this poor young man. And they are protecting the people who were involved in the decision to kill that said young man. And I think that we know someone who very, very, very likely also has information related to that, and I would say that that would probably be John Podesta. Now next, did Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska agree to work with the deep state in return for a Paul Manafort indictment? Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska was likely used by Christopher Steele as one of the alleged Russians in the said dossier. Deripaska may have agreed to the use of his name in return for the FBI to have targeted Paul Manafort, who reportedly stole millions from Deripaska. In June 2018, the mainstream media was pushing a story that President Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, owed Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska millions in loans. This was per a leak by the FBI stating that this was in the Manafort case, where the FBI was charging Manafort with tax crimes. An FBI agent said that while reviewing tax returns for a company Manafort and his wife own, he discovered that Deripaska loaned Manafort $10 million. It's unclear when that loan was made. Deripaska is a longtime associate of Manafort's, and the two men have a complicated financial history. The affidavit disclosed that Deripaska financially supported Manafort's consulting work in Ukraine when it began in 2005 and in 2006. Deripaska and Manafort also worked together on a lobbying project in the U.S. in 2006, and Deripaska signed a $10 million annual contract with Manafort for the deal, which Manafort said would greatly benefit the Putin government. When Manafort joined the Trump campaign 10 years later, he owed Deripaska close to $20 million, according to legal complaints Deripaska's lawyers filed in the Cayman Islands in New York. Manafort's debt to Deripaska attracted scrutiny last year. The Atlantic published several emails appearing to show Manafort using his elevated role in the Trump campaign to resolve his conflict with Deripaska. Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska denied any ties with Manafort since 2011 in an interview at CNBC in March of 2019. And here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick.
I haven't seen Manafort since 2010 or 11. The only purpose for me or my people to have any interest in his, dealing future was to get money back, which was borrowed from my companies or improperly, taken, from investment which was done. And it's a big sum, up to 50 million. That's why when I see that some of your colleagues, try to pay in success of Mueller probe, that they've been totally covered from this sum, for me it's also hard. It's another money which would be taken from me if it would happen, if I wouldn't find lawyers who will defend my interest.
But you know how it's been represented, and why would that be the case? People have suggested that
why it would be the case that facts doesn't fit narrative.
Well,
I don't know. It's your situation now. There is the facts, and there is something which you wanna promote.
So in the emails that were released, apparently Kalimnik wrote an email to Manafort saying you asked him to convey several important messages to Manafort.
Me?
Apparently.
It's a lie.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's
absurd. Look, let's state the fact. Yeah, Manafort, last consultants, which not tens of millions, which not all this balderdash in advance and blah 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 Russian state. It's total balderdash. Never happened. Never offered. Last consultants was in Africa, ended not very good because was no result. 2011. Never seen him after. And my view, after that, he was totally, even again, reading from the open source, he was totally focused on Ukraine, on Ukrainian client. Sorry, the Ukrainian clients. It's obvious. It's obvious for anyone who wants to, for any investigative journalist who will go and check what these people were doing there. They have a bunch of their clients. And I'm sure these clients offer this caviar. I'm not eating caviar.
So there were no political favors done for you in return for the financial debt or obligation that Paul Manafort incurred to you. That's what's been implied, largely, that he supplied you with information about the campaign because there was a financial obligation to you that he couldn't pay.
Absolutely not absurd.
So just let me underline this. I want to move on and talk some more about some of the other issues that I think are very important to you and to us. But just to underline this, do you have any knowledge that Paul Manafort or Mr. Kilimnik were working for a Russian secret agency or possibly the GRU to further the government's interests?
Not.
You have no information, or you don't believe that to be the case?
And I don't believe. I have no information, I don't believe.
So pretty obvious based on that interview, Oleg Deripaska and Paul Manafort were not on good terms. And he states that obviously Manafort was doing no work for the Russian government. He wasn't even doing any work for Deripaska. But this does give us reason to think that Deripaska would want to get revenge on Paul Manafort. Now, Oleg Deripaska is estimated to have billions in net worth. Perhaps he didn't notice it when Paul Manafort bamboozled millions from him in the Ukraine, but Deripaska most certainly didn't like it when he found out. It's been reported that Deripaska sued Manafort for $18 million, but then suddenly the suit ended out of the blue. Saying right here, Oleg Deripaska sues Paul Manafort for allegedly failing to recover $18.9 million Deripaska had invested in a failed joint venture to acquire the Ukrainian company Black Sea Cable. Though Manafort claimed in 2016 that the suit had been resolved, and his spokesman said the case is dormant and will not be pursued further, according to the Washington Post, there are no signs in court documents that the case has been closed. Furthermore, when the DOJ's Bruce Orr testified in front of Congress, he said the following about Deripaska and his attorney, Paul Hauser. Chris Steele provided some information to us. Specifically, these things are that I mentioned before, he talked about the people that Carter Page had met with when he was in Moscow sometime before this. He told me that the former head of, or he had information that the former head of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service had said that they had Trump over a barrel. And he told me that Paul Hauser, a lawyer who worked for Oleg Deripaska, was collecting information about a large amount of money that Oleg Deripaska had, or that Paul Manafort had stolen from Oleg Deripaska. Then in notes from Orr, which are redacted, it could easily be assumed that Steele and or the FBI were talking to Deripaska, who was furious with Paul Manafort. And right here it says, see the in addition part, we know Deripaska was furious at Manafort for stealing his money. In addition, the other information Deripaska just gave, etc. Corrupt Democrat Senator Mark Warner from Virginia was in on it as well. He held a conversation with Adam Waldman, a U.S. lobbyist for Deripaska, where he discussed an individual in the U.K. who didn't trust the U.S. government, but has been essentially shut out of the country and dragged through the mud. Senator Warner saying here, keep me informed, also any news from your other guy on Manafort. And then the other guy is likely Deripaska. And this is Adam Waldman saying, my other guy, like Steele, very mistrusted of USG, U.S. government. He's being essentially shut out of the country and dragged through the mud. I explored this question with him last night in person. Waldman also discussed with Senator Warner the possibility of obtaining an agreement with Deripaska. Now, right here, we want to do this in private in London. Don't want to send letter yet, because if we can't get agreement, would rather not have a paper trail. Adam Waldman responds, that makes sense. Glad to keep trying to intermediate and see if I can convince him to speak with you directly. At the moment, he seems spooked, no pun intended. So they're saying that he's a spy in addition to being a Russian oligarch. A short time after this, Paul Manafort's storage locker was raided by the FBI in May of 2017. The next thing you know, Manafort was placed in solitary confinement by the Mueller team with the help of corrupt Obama judge Amy Berman Jackson. And to this day, Manafort rots in prison for tax evasion and not filling out government forms related to lobbying. Deripaska allegedly sued Manafort for millions that Manafort borrowed and didn't repay. He was furious with Manafort for not paying this debt. The Mueller team and Senate Democrats wanted to connect Trump to Russia, and evidence suggests Deripaska may have been Warner's target or some other Russian-related individual in the UK. Only time will tell. Well, once again, we see the Democrats playing out of the exact same playbook. Trying to connect Trump to the Russians, they were working with the Russians to do this. Christopher Steele using Russian information, fake Russian information to once again try and entrap the president into a crime that he had never committed. When will this end? When will we get the answers that we are seeking? And when will the Democrats pay for their own collusion with the Russians? Once again, only time will tell. And finally, you guys may have heard about this over the past week. April Ryan's security guard forcibly removed another journalist with a camera from an event where April Ryan was one of the people speaking. He had been recording the whole time, and once April Ryan came on stage, she gave a signal. Her bodyguard went and forcibly removed the individual, the reporter, from the event. Well, now he's been charged with assault after the video that was released shows him violently hitting the reporter and stealing his camera. A security guard for CNN's April Ryan has been charged with harassment, assault, and theft after he violently took a reporter's equipment, hit the reporter, then threw him out of the event. Last week, a video surfaced showing a security guard for CNN's April Ryan violently throwing reporter Charlie Crontville out of a hotel in New Jersey. Mr. Crontville has been cleared by the event organizer to attend and video April Ryan's speech. Well, April Ryan, however, directed her security guard to remove the reporter who was videotaping the speech. And this was previously reported by Kristen Taylor here at the Gateway Pundit. Video taken August 3rd by a reporter shows April Ryan apparently sicking her security guard on the reporter who was videotaping her speech at a New Brunswick, New Jersey charity event by Project Ready. After speaking with Ryan, who stopped her speech shortly after beginning it because it was being filmed, the guard is seen stealing the reporter's camera and taking it out of the banquet hall at the Heldrich Hotel. Hotel security video later shows Ryan's guard manhandling the reporter in the lobby and forcibly ejecting him from the hotel. Another man in a blue suit pulls what appears to be a handgun and points it at the reporter. It is not clear if the man who apparently pulled the gun on the reporter is hotel or Ryan security. And an update says Crontville said the man is the hotel manager. Oh, insane. Now, from the Epoch Times, according to a criminal complaint obtained by the Epoch Times, police found probable cause to issue a summons for Morris for harassment, assault, and theft. The complaint said that Morris grabbed Crontville's camera and removed it from his possession before causing bodily injury by chasing complaint, grabbing him from his left arm and twisting his arm behind his back, causing injury to his forearm and shoulder. Now, here is the complaint and the summons right there. "This is more than just assault on me," Charlie Crontville said in a Twitter video. "This is an assault on freedom of the press, and April Ryan should have immediately condemned the use of violence against a journalist. Because Miss Ryan has failed to publicly address or apologize for her role in this ugly incident, I am now seeking legal counsel to initiate proceedings that will hold her accountable for the unacceptable and illegal behavior of her employee," he added. Let's go ahead and take a look at that video from Charlie.
Crontville here outside the New Brunswick Municipal Court, and I'm pleased to report that the Municipal Court has found probable cause to charge Joel Morris, the bodyguard for April Ryan, with 3 different criminal offenses related to the unfortunate incident that happened here in our city on August 3rd. I filed the complaint as the victim. Complaint was of harassment and assault, which are both disorderly persons offenses, and I also filed a complaint regarding the theft of my camera from the event where I was there to cover April Ryan's speech. Joel Morris stole the camera and, hightailed it out of the room. One thing led to another. I ended up being assaulted after retrieving the camera, but now Mr. Morris is going to have to show up on September 12th, right around the corner from here in Superior Court, because that theft charge is an indictable third-degree crime in the state of New Jersey. So on September 12th, Joel Morris is going to have to make a trip back to New Brunswick and be arraigned in Superior Court. I want to thank everybody who has been supportive of me throughout this difficult time. It's a shame that we even have to be at this point. Just want to read a quick sentence that the New Jersey Society of Professional Journalists put out in their statement last night. Quote, "It is never, under any circumstances, permissible for a person aggrieved at being photographed or videotaped to lay hands on the journalist or attempt to take away the journalist's equipment. It is sad that we have to say this and remind people of this, and it's super sad that we have to remind another journalist of this, April Ryan. She's been silent about the unacceptable and illegal behavior of her bodyguard, Joel Morris, and we are still waiting for her to comment on this unfortunate incident involving Mr. Morris. Maybe now that there's criminal charges, we might hear something from her. I hope sincerely that she does comment, and I hope she does condemn this. This is unacceptable and not in our country. We have freedom of the press here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely incredible that this has even happened, and a major win for freedom of the press, the fact that this thug has been charged. Now, cameras from the Lobby Hotel captured the violent assault of Charlie Cradaville, the founder of New Brunswick Today, and admitted anti-Trumper. Video shows April Ryan speaking to her bodyguard before being forcefully removed with Cradaville's camera in tow. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video.
All right, Congressman, I didn't know he felt that way. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in your district. It is so wonderful to be here in New Jersey. You just don't know. To all the elected officials, to all of you parents, what I will say, when I speak,
Don't touch my camera, please.
when I speak, I do not have news covering my speech because
Don't you dare put that down, sir. That's my camera.
I'm very, I have a conversation with you all, and I want to speak on stay there. I'm sorry. Come on, Mashpee people. Eva and Janelle, somebody come take a picture of us.
Excuse me, Mr. Honey. Yes. Right here. Right here. No, you can have the camera.
Give me my camera. Give me my camera. Let go of my camera. Thank you. Don't touch me, please. Give me some space.
I'm telling you right now, you're not allowed back in that
come
room.
over here?
We need him out. We need him out.
I need this guy to get out right now. How dare you come in here and interrupt this event like this? No, you need to get out of here right now.
He needs to be out.
I was given permission by this
Get out. Get this man out of my way.
Don't you dare touch my camera. Don't you.
Let's go outside.
This guy is security.
Now, what you heard there was the reporter being violently grabbed by the security guard and forcibly removed from the premises. It was a very violent interaction, and there's also security footage showing it as well. Now, former NYPD John Cardillo said since April Ryan ordered her guard to beat the reporter, she should also be charged with felony forcible theft, which is actually robbery. Of course, Ryan has not commented on the interaction, and this is really stunning, even for April Ryan, to imagine that she would have a fellow reporter assaulted and have his camera equipment stolen. What do you guys think about April Ryan? I know how I feel, but I personally think that she should definitely be charged with assault as well, because you could see in that video, she gives the okay, the camera is taken by the security guard, and then the reporter is forcibly assaulted and removed from the premises. All right, guys, I think that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.